I have the big pleasure now to talk to Thomas Kaiser, who is very involved with Ringier Digital Ventures. So, Thomas, maybe give us a short introduction about yourself.
As you just said, I'm running the Ringier Digital Ventures Fund, which is a corporate venture vehicle of Ringier, which is an international media group based here in Switzerland, family owned, and I have had the pleasure to be part of the transformational team in the last 6 years, covering all aspects of digital transformation in the media business and what came on top of the media business.
How do you define digitalization?
You can go to the basic definition, so it's all about bits and bytes and transforming information in computer readable formats, but obviously more tangible would be that actually digital transformation concerns business models. How have you done business in the past? Looking at the media industry, this has been an industry that has been hit by the digital transformation challenge more than 2 decades ago, one of the first industries, and now we see many other industries that are entering that phase. So that's the digital transformation of business models, and then obviously it's digital transformation, everybody's personal life. So what happens, how you use all these gadgets, assets, and the next thing that is around the corner, that the internet is leaving the screens and entering everyday's objects, so that the car is driving IP address in the future and many other objects, and that will of course have an impact on everybody's life.
Sure. I mean, like when you look at like your personal life, how does digitalization affect you personally?
On the one hand, still a rather analog person, so also one reason to be present at such an event here. So actually you meet people in person. On the other hand, I'm extremely curious and try to find out what every new gadget means for me and how it can be used. So my kids love it. My wife sometimes tells, so now it's enough of this
familiar.
gadget.
Sounds very familiar.
But definitely it's about curiosity and find out what this means for you.
Mm-hmm. When you look like around you, let's say also like within your investment vehicle, where do you see are the biggest pushbacks in terms of digitalization, where people say to you like, hey, till here, this is the border, or like this is something that like we don't want to do because we're worried about our jobs? Where do you see are the biggest pushbacks?
If you have been on the bridge of digital transformation for the last 2 decades in the media industry, then you have experienced a lot of pushback in the publishing business, really orchestrating this transition from traditional media to new media. On the one hand, so that was astonishing sometimes how paper-oriented, or look at the broadcast industry, how screen-oriented the industry was and the people working in this industry, and really making them understand that it's about the information that goes from A to B. And that's definitely a pushback we experience in the media industry, which is very typical, that you are actually oriented towards a specific thing in your industry that is actually not defining how the industry works. And in our case, sometimes it was the paper or it was the TV screen that defined how people made the business in the past, and that completely changed, obviously.
Now, when you look on the other side from pushbacks, when you look at, let's say, the media industry and where you're acting right now in the investment world, what is, let's say, successful digitalization?
I think you have a lot of examples where media companies then entered first adjacent spaces. So marketplace business always has been a part of the media industry when you look at the classifieds business, and so you have a lot of examples like Ringier or Axel Springer or Tamedia, etc., that cover that space today very successfully, and develop these marketplace business models in other verticals than just the traditional jobs, automotive or real estate portals, where all that started actually. And on the other hand, you have internationalization approaches. So if you look at a company like Naspers that started somewhere in South Africa and now is one of the major investors in companies like Tencent or Avito in Russia. So looking for a completely different way to diversify the business and to go abroad and enter new regions.
What do you see, let's say, are the biggest opportunities of digitalization right now, let's say specifically with a focus on the media industry?
Well, not only in the media industry, as I said, internet leaving the screens, which means you have, first from a tech point of view, you have all these IoT oriented approaches, and when it comes to the business model related to that, I think we are talking much more about ecosystem. So to make this a little bit more tangible than smart city concept. So obviously there's a lot of IoT when you want to build up a smart city ecosystem, but within the ecosystem you have a lot of players that need to work together. So it's about collaboration in these spaces, in these open physical spaces. And so it's not about one industry that can do it all and just push a brand like Zalando or another brand and then that's it. But it's about working together from different angles. So there are real estate companies, there are automotive companies, there are insurance companies, and there are even media companies that need to find out, having this example of smart cities, what this means for them and how they can collaborate on such a new platform. And I think that's an opportunity, but obviously also a challenge.
Sure. One last question. Where do you see, let's say, Switzerland on a global level in terms of digitalization?
I mean, at the moment, we are leading edge when it comes to education.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, mostly Anglo-Saxon companies have realized this and that hiring the talents directly from ETH and other great universities. So there is a big gap then when it comes to having investors and the corporate world really playing on a global level. But initiatives like Digital Switzerland and others are working on that framework. It's really about a lot of elements that need to work together, to come together, that we can play first on a European level, but then eventually also on a global level in different fields than Silicon Valley or other ecosystems in the digital world. So I think we have to build on our strengths, and so there are a lot of verticals or industries where Switzerland is very strong. Let's talk about the food industry, let's talk about the health industry, let's talk about fintech. I think these are only 3 examples where there is a good heritage, and I think we need to build on these strengths.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll go on to the next one now.